Hello YouTube and welcome to episodes 2 and 3 in the Nekomonogatari Shiro reaction series, that being part of the second season of the Monogatari series. The lighting may be a little bit weird today because I'm normally relying on a bit of sunshine out there, but it is currently very dark and dreary outside, so hopefully that's not an omen for the episode. I want good things to happen, but yeah, might look a little bit weird, might look like I'm in a cave. It is what it is. Either way, there's going to be a double episode this week, so please be excited about that. As always, I'm going to do my little comment summary as well, starting with a very important one from Venomous. Venomous says that Hana Monogatari was delayed and was meant to be released between Kabuki Monogatari and Otori Monogatari. My file set currently doesn't do this. It has Hana Monogatari after Monogatari second season completely. So I'll be running a poll in Discord, so join the Discord if you haven't already if you're feeling passionate about where I watch Hana Monogatari. It seems like Venomous feels passionately about it. Apparently, Hana Monogatari is between it in novel order, so we'll see how that goes there. But again, poll in the Discord, vote on it if you feel so inclined. This brings us to the probably second major theme through the comments section, and that was my main takeaway from last episode as well. That was about the kind of point of view change that we do in this arc. The point of view away from Araragi, who is suspiciously missing, which we'll need to discover why later, and a shift towards Hanakawa. And Hanakawa's perspective is endlessly interesting, as I'm sure you know by now. Backslash says it's the first one in the series, and possibly implying that there will be more of this. This is only more interesting as we continue on, because that's a third thing we can compare, right? We can compare Araragi, Hanakawa, and whoever the next one may be, if there is a next one. Matthew B says this is one of his favorite parts of kind of the entire series. This is when he knew it was starting to, be kind of special. The difference in inner voice and perception in particular just adds a lot. Gian Bueno says there's kind of small directorial stuff here that's quite interesting. So women blink more than men, so we'll see more kind of cuts and that kind of thing. You know your Monogatari stuff, your kind of blank screens with the cut in the animation on it and that kind of thing. We'll see more of that from Hanakawa. And not really having as much fan service, but kind of also a different kind of fan service, right? So we're not looking at Hanakawa and Senjugahara's assets as much. It's kind of Hanakawa's POV admiring Senjugahara. There's a difference, I believe. It's less gratuitous. It's more of like oh yeah, she looks pretty good. Her body's pretty okay. You know, the male gaze, the female gaze. We could go into that a little bit. So that's another way another lens we can use on the series. Kramer had a lot of thoughts about this. He says that it's a movement away from unreliable narrator Araragi towards Hanakawa, who may be a little bit more reliable, is an interesting move. For examples, we see a more emotional Senjugahara. We don't see scenes when we're in Araragi's POV of Senjugahara desperately screaming and yelling and all these kind of things, like really worried about her friend. We just don't see that. See a way more composed point of view, and I think that's interesting. We also see a more troubled Hachikuji. She doesn't seemingly have all the answers and kind of send Araragi on his merry way. She kind of vents a little bit to Hanakawa. Found that interesting as well. We see Hanakawa that's allowed to have something like bed hair. She's, not going to be the composed kind of Hanakawa that Araragi thinks she is. She's going to be an actual human being. And we also get to see this brewing Hanakawa Senjugahara kind of friendship that they have going on, which was interesting as well, something that was maybe brewing in the background. This is just a reminder from kind of Simon and Alexander Dunkelheit that Hanakawa said that she's not going to college because she's going to travel the world. And yes, I do remember this now from Bakemonogatari. Thank you for reminding me. Simon and Gian Bueno also had some opinions about Senjugahara being a weirdo. So I said she's acting weird, and potentially she just doesn't act this weird around Araragi, but also potentially they've cut a lot of stuff from the novels where she's a bit more of an otaku. And a lot of that generally goes over my head when they do adapt it, so I'm not exactly sad that it's not here. But apparently she likes Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, so at least she has good taste. Matthew B had some really interesting thoughts as well about the trade-off between visual storytelling and inner monologue, faithful adaptation stuff from the novels. So sometimes leaving certain things unsaid is better, and I can't help but agree. So that's a lot of stuff that people criticize Kizumonogatari about, that I actually really enjoyed. I thought it was subtle in spots where some of the Monogatari series sometimes isn't. Sometimes it'll just kind of tell you what's going on, and that's fine. That's kind of its style. But yeah, I'm way more on the show don't tell. So This is interesting to me going forward. They're not just going to be reading the novel to me. They're going to be, genuinely appreciating that it's a visual medium. And I think that's good. Alexander Dunkelheit and a few others had some interesting thoughts about the Roomba as well. So the Roomba is a robot just going around doing its job. She even uses it as somewhat of an alarm clock. So she's awake for it just waiting to hit her head. So she's lying awake in bed in the hallway, just waiting for the Roomba to hit her head to, say good morning. I don't know how that's a very reliable alarm clock, but anyway. Hanakawa also says it's the only thing in the house that she has any attachment to, and when it's burning, she's quite sad. Alexander Dunkelheit also references a part where Hanakawa says this story is going to betray our expectations and disappoint us. Apparently, it's an extended reference to Sherlock Holmes, so a lot of Sherlock Holmes's novels, I think, are written from the perspective of Watson. Not that I've read any of them, but I'm just merely basing this off the comment. And for one of the novels, they're like, hey, Sherlock Holmes, we're going to do it from his perspective. And kind of the veneer is pulled back. So Watson is kind of in awe of Sherlock. And when we see that Sherlock just isn't as brilliant as we thought he was, it's kind of disappointing. I don't know, all this talk about perspective changes makes me think of this as well. So it's only good stuff, I think. Benjamin Lee had some thoughts about Nishio Sin and how he comes up with character names first and then creates the story out from there. I think Gian Bueno had a few thoughts on that as well. It's a very interesting way to write a story. So you're going to create character names, they're going to have implied things through the Japanese language, and then we're going to create the connections between these characters before we even start writing the plot itself. I think that's a very interesting way to write, and you can kind of see it with how much kind of emphasis that he puts on names. Benjamin Lee and Simon also implied that, hey, the numbers on screen, the white kind of screen with the black text, and then it says a number. That's a chapter number from the light novels. So we're just missing chapter 8 right now. And apparently in the light novels it goes like, oh, did I miss a chapter? And then they do that kind of fourth wall break there. So it's interesting how they've adapted that for the screen. I think Fat's little comment as well about how we're going to interpret white lies. Is it white lies the way that an English speaker would know white lies, or is it a white lies like lies that are white? Because those lies could be way bigger and could imply some things about Hanakawa. So maybe she's just been white lying through her entire life to someone like Araragi. Just need to find that out. This is kind of a general theme in the comments as well. Everyone seems to like this one better than Kuro, so I feel somewhat validated. I don't know. I felt kind of nervous going into Kuro and releasing that video, knowing that I was kind of negative on it. But it's nice to feel validated. It's nice to agree with the consensus sometimes, because I don't always do, and when I don't, it's painful. Matt also had some points around the 3 separate rice cookers that were in the house. This also implies that kind of Hanakawa's parents are estranged as well. They're just as separate from each other than Hanakawa is to them. So it's kind of this loveless household overall. It's just a terrible place to live. Her only friend is the damn Roomba. It's bad. Then Kramer had some similar points about contrasting this kind of nightmare house with Senjogahara's. Just in coloration, I think it's very interesting as well. The lighting on that scene is kind of brilliant. So kind of these muted, awful morning kind of 6 a.m.y colors in kind of Hanakawa's house. Never see anybody around. It's always squeaky clean. Compared to Senjogahara's, which is kind of this wooden wreck in a way, right? You know, one kitchen, sharing all the kind of amenities, one cupboard. Again, Senjogahara, I think, lives with her father. I think that's what the implication is, I think. And yeah, they share stuff. It's a normal house. Even though it's rickety and kind of shit, it's still their house. It's an actual home. You know what I mean? And staying in this house, we have a few little comments about the fan service stuff. So I found these really interesting this week, so I included basically all of them. Fat says that the scene in the first episode kind of mirrors this one in the first episode of season 2, or second season, I think we're calling it. So that's Hitagi Crab compared to this in Neko Shiro. Kind of got the characters on either side of the room. There's a shower involved. One's got an oddity involved. You know, they're talking things out. The shots are very similar. Maybe they've switched sides of the scene. It's about a character putting on clothes, about a character taking off clothes. There's something there, right? But then Fats kind of relents and says, also, Senjo may just be bi-curious and being influenced by people like Kambaru and Araragi, and also Shaft just might like drawing Senjogahara with no clothes on, which is fair enough, I think. Kramer implies that Senjugahara may be checking out the competition, so hey, I'm gonna get Hanakawa in the shower, I'm gonna see what Araragi's talking about, see what all the fuss is about. Venomous says it's heavily implied in the novels that Kambaru got Senjugahara into ecchi, and that Senjugahara may just be checking out Hanakawa because she wants to, which is fair enough. We stand a bi-curious queen. Either way, that's all the comments for this week. I thought they were really good this week, so keep it up, guys. Just a bit of an ad-libby episode summary, I guess. Just from kind of a plot perspective, just so we're up to scratch there. So the episode begins and Hanakawa kind of hops out of bed, makes breakfast, goes to school without a word to her parents. On the way to school, she kind of runs into Hachikuji. Hachikuji implies some things about her backpack and maybe Araragi, and Araragi being gone all night. Something to this effect, I think. Then, when Hachikuji disappears, there's a tiger. There's an oddity tiger that approaches Hanakawa and says that, hey, you're telling white lies or something. Something to that effect, I think. Walks straight past Hanakawa, back towards where she was coming from. And this will be important later. Hanakawa, obviously a little bit perturbed by this, goes and talks to Senjugahara about this. Senjugahara says, hey, why don't you ask Araragi? And then Hanakawa's like, hey, it's not in my nature to ask for help, as well as I've never had to ask Araragi for help because he just does it automatically anyway. Something that Senjugahara can relate to as well. When they're kind of walking away from this scene, back up to the classroom, Senjugahara sees smoke coming from a house, kind of runs over to the window, and then says, hey, isn't that your house, Hanakawa? And lo and behold, Hanakawa's house has burned down, which is certainly a development. Hanakawa has a small conversation with her parents, one of the first in a while, about, hey, where am I going to stay, or where are we going to stay? Hanakawa, being Hanakawa, simply says, hey, I'll stay at a friend's house, I'll stay out of your way, I'll be the perfect little person you want me to be. But she lies. She's not going to a friend's house, she's going to find somewhere else. She can't physically ask somebody else for help, that's not in her nature. So she goes to the one place that she knows may be relatively safe or at least abandoned, and that's the cram school. Senjugahara kind of gets word of this through talking to Hanakawa's parents. Parents say she's staying with a friend. She goes, that seems fishy, kind of mails a lot of people that would be associated with Hanakawa at school. None of them say shit, basically. And then Senjugahara starts to get worried. She's like, oh, maybe she's at the cram school. Nah, nobody would do that. No sane person would do that. And then, of course, that's where Hanakawa has been. So then Hanakawa is awakened by a Senjugahara. We're also missing a chapter in here somewhere. I just thought I'd mention. And yeah, Senjugahara is kind of hysterical at this point. It's a nice welcome change of pace from a character perspective, I think. Senjugahara then kind of forces Hanakawa to come back to her home, and she's going to stay with her, basically. And she's also forcing her to have days off school to kind of process some stuff. And, you don't need to be perfect. Your house just burned down. You don't need to come to school. This is when they start talking about the tiger a little bit, as well as getting a text from Araragi, where Araragi's like, hey, I'm in a bit of trouble, but don't worry about me. I'm okay for now. Bye. It's like, oh, that's worrying, and then they kind of just continue on. So clearly something's happening with Araragi at the moment. Then we kind of get into our ecchi portion a little bit, where we're, taking each other's clothes off and trying to get each other in the shower, and yeah, it's all very great there. And the episode kind of ends with kind of Senjugahara peeking her head around the corner, saying, "Hey, do you still love Araragi?" And then, no hesitation, no inner thought, no nothing from Hanakawa. She says, "Yes, I am. I am in love with him." And that's where we end off. So I'm guessing this is our kind of most major thing going forward, I think. I've honestly got no idea where we're going with the story. We have no real indications about the tiger, I don't think. I guess they're just going to investigate into that and maybe involve some other characters. That would be nice. Maybe a Kambaru or something gets involved. That would definitely be kind of a dynamic duo, Kambaru, Hanakawa, Senjugahara. That'd be very interesting. But I digress, just my shill stuff before we jump into episode 2 here. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I can do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back. And the Discord, join the Discord to vote on this latest poll I've been advertising, to kind of talk about random stuff. Oh, and something else I wanted to shill as well. I should be doing kind of a year 2022 summary, reviewy kind of video, just a roundup of things I liked. And that should be coming out around Christmas. I I might be skipping videos for like a week in Christmas, which should be fairly understandable. But you'll get that, I guess. So there's a kind of community post on the channel. If you guys wanted to talk about what you liked from this year, you're more than welcome to do so. I know a couple of you already have. So yeah, those comments will be included in the video. So please comment if you feel so inclined. Rightio, into episode 2 right now. Rightio, got episode 2 up here ready to go. Let me pop that up on screen. 24 minutes and 56 seconds for this video. There will always be a picture-in-picture version down below as well for those that want it. Still using call girls and no reason to stand on ceremony, so we're just going to hop right in right now. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so you talk about Araragi. Yes. Knew about Araragi-kun. Oh, okay, before spring break. Okay, so you were aware of his presence. Why? Okay, so he's a bit of a shit bloke. Yeah, okay. This tracks. Oh. Okay. Okay. This is very interesting. Okay. He always is. In love with such a person. Okay. Thanks for the tease. So am I wrong, or did that say that Araragi used to be somewhat like the Fire Sisters in junior high? Because that's very interesting. That recontextualizes a bunch of stuff from Monogatari. And then something changed, and then maybe something changed again and went back to what he was doing before, in a way. Anyway, I'm sure all will be revealed. I forgot to include it, but one of the comments had a nice little observation about Hanakawa in the box, kind of like a stray cat, waiting for somebody to pick her up and kind of save her. I think that's interesting as well. Chocolate insomnia. I don't know why the kind of melodies in the song, they're giving me kind of Your Lie in April a little bit. The second opening. I don't know why. Maybe. Alright, back in. What are we doing? Where are we focusing? Tsubasa Tiger Part 2. Oh, we skipped another chapter. Okay, something strange is happening. That was also a weird chapter, so that's a whole chapter that was just her reminiscing about Araragi. Also, they're sleeping together, which I guess is fair enough. Just yet. Just switches it on immediately. Oh, did they sleep in a long way? Okay. 1:30 p.m. Oh my god. Yeah, they certainly did. Awesome. Great. Yep. This is definitely something that's happening on screen right now. Their show is like big for having a small rest of the house. Maybe I'll read the dialogue at the end. It's kind of hard to focus on it. I'm gonna be dead ass. Like it's I just want to read the dialogue, but my eyes keep drifting upwards. Oh yeah, just two blokes, just two mates hanging out. Okay, I did not read a second of that dialogue. I'm very sorry. Okay. Excuse me? I missed that one too. Maybe I'm like going insane. I can't like read the dialogue. Okay, so it's growing back, kind of. I just got a haircut too, she's right. Did the dad just like skip town for the night? The three daijobus. Yeah, you're very similar. Hanakawa won't use you as a body pillow, is that what that said? Okay, I think you're revealing something. Electra Complex? Excuse me? Yeah, you're being like weird. I'm gonna use you as a bed. Okay. Yeah, good point. That must feel nice. Don't say goodnight to the Roomba. The little ufu there. Okay. I slept really well last night too. The music's beautiful too. It's very polite. What is a lun lun lun? What is moyashi? Weird pun stuff. Yeah, you can't eat anybody else's food. Looks good. Well, you didn't have to make it yourself. Araragi's rude. Interesting. Ha 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 ha. Yep, bringing it up.
Yeah, she's kind of just spitting at the moment, which is cool. Hey, she's putting it all out there on the table, you know what I mean? Okay. Why would it leak out? Is someone filming it? Is he going to watch the episode? That's way more acceptable, yes. Okay, what about the future? Oh, the immediate future. Okay. Okay, so he's away. Okay, so they're going to rebuild on the same land. What is your idea? What is she doing? Don't be a troll, just tell us. She's okay. Where is she? Where are you staying in the future? Oh, here we go. Sup? It's been a while. Probably. Thought it might be. Okay, so this is 13. Yeah, but she's very good at keeping it in, isn't she? It most certainly is. That's great. Nice fourth wall. Yep, all of this is true. Was that a key needed to unlock the house from the inside? That's weird. What are you doing of a night? Where are you going? Are you killing? I like the hair on her now too. Sup? Oh, hello, Tiger. What are we doing? Black Hanakawa. On both. Yeah, we've been through the all that. So the tiger is extremely strong then. But so is Black Hanakawa. I need to read that text too. What do you mean by this? Okay, so you don't care. Oh, I see. You burned down my house, so... It's weird looking. Well, possessed is up for debate. Yeah. They're closer than you think. Hmm. So if you see the tiger, bad shit happens. What are we doing? We're flying. Oh my god. Up into space. Oh, that's cool. Like bouncing on the clouds. Hmm. You can't get away from him. Okay, so all it's about is I've already started acting. It's all about perception again, right? Did we skip another chapter? Am I dumb? Maybe I'm dumb. Yeah, take that, Hanakawa. Like we're just meeting for the first time. Energy drain. So don't touch her. Hmm. Interesting. Very interesting. The order here is insane because that one, the flashback we saw was 14. We still haven't seen 8. So does Hanakawa have no memory of what happened? Maybe. Yeah, she doesn't because that's why we're skipping the chapters, of course. Okay, we're gonna go for a jog. Okay. Yeah, she's a good cook. I like that this episode we're just kind of vibing. Hmm. I don't really like salad dressing, so just pop some pepper on it. She's sweet. Yeah, bit of pepper, bit of salt. Is it just plain bread? That's okay. That's a bit weird. If the bread's fresh, it still should be okay. Kind of. Just a little bit bland. Oh, that's okay. That's a bit weird. Okay, don't do that. She hates sauce and like condiments. Ha 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 ha. What do you mean? I prefer it without dressing. Sometimes, just like a fresh salad. Okay, that the bread's a bit weird. Bit of butter on the bread with the eggs. I don't know about that. That's very weird. Okay, you're like a robot freak. Yep, exactly. Okay, that was a great scene. So, can we then infer something about her taste in men as well? Maybe? Yeah, but you are, though. Okay. A big heart. Yeah, okay. You don't really hate anything. Yeah. Okay, good. So we're making that connection as well. Oh, she's like flicking through all these thoughts. Yeah, she's intense. Yeah, and that's the connection I thought we were making as well. A little like she once did. Is that where we're ending the episode? Yeah. Okay, that's where I thought we were going with the whole taste thing. As soon as we connected taste with taste in men, interesting. I forgot to mention it as well. Kind of this ending here, little reference to kind of the war table and all the screens in the back of Doctor Strangelove. So I forget who said that, but somebody did. Again, I'm thinking it's like the war room within Hanakawa's mind, making all these decisions. Okay, so what did we learn? Black Hanakawa's still around. So like I thought that was going to happen, so it's not that big of a surprise. And really, it was just a bunch of conversations. I want to read. So the text is very quick. I want to read what Hanakawa's thinking. And again, still no Araragi. I'm going to imagine that that's going to persist. And we're still doing this chapter skipping thing down to the point where Black Hanakawa is going to look into the camera and tell me what's going on, which is cool. Thought it was fun. And I'm skipping next time on. So yeah. Rightio, let's jump into a little bit of analysis on Nekomonogatari Shiro episode 2. So this episode, right? Really different again, I thought. So It's way more of a we're going to sit down and chat with Symphogear episode, and we're just going to shoot the shit for a bit, and then there'll be a bit of plot stuff, and then we're going to shoot the shit, then a bit of plot stuff. I really like it tonally, very breezy, but in a different way to Nekomonogatari. It feels just like two friends talking it out. The timeline here is also intriguing, to say the least, which I'll try to talk about a little bit. So, generally, in books, you would think that chapters would go in chronological order, so we're going to think that they are. That would make sense, right? We are still missing 8. It is heavily implied that she's been Black Hanakawa during these things because she's under immense stress after her house burned down, which, makes sense. So Black Hanakawa comes out again. And again, how much of it is Hanakawa in control, how much of it is the cat in control, we still don't know. We've seen 14, but we've also missed another chapter in there somewhere. So we're missing 8, we've seen 14 now, and we're missing another one. We're missing the one where she comes back again and is met by Symphogear. So we're going to have a look at our numbers. And talking about that, there's our number up on screen. We're going to start with 12 today. And yeah, I'm just going to pause it when I find interesting stuff to talk about. So I forgot about this start. So this is as good a time as any, so I'll talk about Araragi-kun now. And this implies some things about Araragi that I didn't think we knew already. But I could be wrong. I'm going to read through it again. Talk about Araragi Koyomi. Araragi Koyomi, who is Symphogear's boyfriend and my friend. We know this. Actually, I knew about Araragi-kun even before spring break. So, before spring break, they would have been in the same high school year for a little bit, so it's only natural that she would know some stuff about him. So we get a little scene there of Hanakawa just like kind of moving her mouth and nothing coming out, so I wonder what that's about. Again, she's in kind of this abandoned classroom, almost like a dreamscape. So is this what she's dreaming during the morning before she wakes up at 1:30 p.m.? Maybe. He was pretty famous among the students of Naoetsu High School. Or to be blunt, he was very noticeable in a bad way. What was he doing? Playing hooky from school and being perfunctory for class and exams. So, not showing up, being late, that kind of thing. It seems he was doing something like what he had done during spring break and Golden Week. So, what did they mean by this? Like missing school. Is that what they're implying there? Or was he... I thought that kind of spring break was his first real association with the occult. The activities of the Fire Sisters, Karen-chan and Tsukihi-chan, pale in comparison to what he was doing before spring break. That is a mere rehashing of Araragi-kun's junior high days. So, okay, he was very similar to the sisters during his junior high days. He was kind of trying to be this symbol of justice and doing all the right things to everybody, and then something changed. He changed. Then he went into high school. He lived out high school as a bit of a weirdo, bit of a loner, bit of a, bad student. And then changed again during spring break. And now he's kind of coming back and he's studying again. Okay. I might need some correction on that, but I think that's what's happening. Of course, what he did in junior high and what he's doing in high school are basically the same. Barely legal extracurricular activities. He fought the law. However, it seems there's a big difference in his motivations. I'm pretty impressed he lived to become a high schooler. So was his life in danger back in the day? He fought the law. There's a big difference in his motivations, and we get this look at Bee and Phoenix, of course, the oddities associated with the two sisters. So again, he's doing similar things in high school to junior high, but there's a difference in motivation. And is that what he's kind of talking to in Nekomonogatari? And again, we've been through the whole justice thing and how it's a little bit hypocritical. He refuses to discuss what happened even more than the events of spring break, so he doesn't want to go back into his junior high days. But it seems there was a mental turning point during his first year of high school. So first year of high school, mental turning point, turns into a bit of a slacker. Spring break comes around, changes his tune a little bit, and then we get the show as it plays out from there. Okay. He had a turning point, a cause for his delinquencies. However, change or no change, Araragi-kun is Araragi-kun. So Araragi is the same, even though he thinks he's way different. He was composed when I met him, and though he's completely different now, he's still him. And today, like any day, he's on the move for some reason. Ever since who knows when, I've been in love with such a person. Exactly when did it start? And then it flashes my reminiscences. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then into the opening. Fascinating opening scene. Fascinating. Very interesting. Don't really know what to make of it. And I'm guessing we'll get more context about that further in the series again. But kind of, a little bit of a story, drop it off, pick it up again later, a little bit of a story, drop it off, pick it up again later. That's kind of what we've been doing up to this point. Very interesting. I want to see what Hanakawa and Araragi's past was somewhat like. So then we're straight out of the opening into 14. So we skip another chapter. So, to my knowledge, Hanakawa goes to sleep, dreams about what she just dreamt about, reminisces about that, and then we skip a chapter where we come back to it later, which is 13. And I think I was saying 14 before and I was wrong, where she's Black Hanakawa and she's kind of doing the Black Hanakawa stuff. We get these flashes, right? The screen kind of closes and it says Hanakawa's eye. This is just as she's kind of waking up, just blinking. Her eyes a little bit blurry, and turns to see she's sharing a bed with one Senjugahara. Not even Araragi could keep this sleeping face all to himself just yet. And I love how Senjugahara just wakes up and then turns it immediately on. It's like, oh, good morning, Hanakawa-san. Just immediately. It implies that she's kind of laying down happily, maybe not completely asleep, waiting for such a thing to happen. Maybe just enjoying the company of somebody else in her bed. So they've slept in quite a bit, so clearly Hanakawa was tired and kind of catching up on sleep. Makes sense. Cool. And now I want to read this dialogue because for some undisclosed reason, I couldn't really focus on the text. There was something else on screen that was a little bit distracting. So we're gonna have another look now. Senjugahara-san and I really took a shower together after that conversation, so this is a flashback to the night before. Senjugahara-san is the type of person who creates strong walls in her heart. There's no mistake for her former self-nicknamed well-to-do girl. So this well-to-do girl would have never taken a shower with me or let her stay the night, so there's been some change there. Even before that, she would never have run around the city all night looking for me. Thinking of the sheer weight of everything she's overcome recently, again that word weight, I feel miserable about myself because in the end, I haven't overcome a thing despite having similar experiences. So she's made real change. I feel kind of bad because I haven't changed even though I've had somewhat similar experiences to her with oddities. I'm still the same old me, and she's making steps forward. That's right, I have not changed. Despite the events of kind of Golden Week and Spring Break and everything else in between, Tsubasa Cat, I have not matured, I have not changed. That's why I envied Senjugahara. That's why I didn't hate her. I honestly thought that. Senjugahara and I had half an hour of fun in the shower and then feeling refreshed. Fun in the shower. Awesome. Since you probably bought those sweats that are as gentle as a stupa at the discount store, I'll go ahead and throw them out. What are you talking about? As gentle as a stupa? So the sweat she was wearing are kind of shit. Is that what she's saying? I don't understand. What is a stupa? Is a stupa like a temple? Am I dumb? So here they go through some seemingly unrelated stuff. They ask about Hanakawa's haircut. She's unsure if she'll keep it short. Again, are we talking to change? Artificial change, maybe? Are we talking to the haircut trope, maybe? Senjugahara's haircut was associated with real change, or seemingly so. And then there's a bunch of different stuff about the different beds, and Senjugahara being very frank about wanting to share a bed with Hanakawa. So, take that whatever direction you want to. Yeah, kind of looking similar to Araragi here for sure. And then, yeah, this line, Hanakawa, I swear I won't use you as a body pillow. Come on. What is an Electra complex? Let me have a little Google. The Electra complex is a term used to describe the female version of the Oedipus complex. It involves a girl aged between 3 and 6 becoming subconsciously sexually attached to her father and increasingly hostile towards her mother. Okay. Weird. Why did they have to say between the ages of 3 and 6? Anyway. And then she conflates kind of the futon with Hanakawa. She's going to sleep on Hanakawa. This is the joke. It is quite funny. It's nice to see that, hey, Hanakawa feels some comfort in this place, right? She falls asleep soundly. She sleeps for a very long time. And, says goodnight to somebody for the first time in a while. It's a nice homely home. This is important setup for later. I'm high strung, so I'm usually a light sleeper, but somehow I slept really deeply. So this is one of the times that, you know, Senjugahara isn't aware that the cat is happening, but then the next night she is. Very interesting. Senjugahara begins to cook lunch/breakfast for the two. Hanakawa describes her cooking situation. Yep, I do. Everything I eat, I cook for myself. So that's because of what we've seen, what the kitchen looks like. Everybody cooks their own meals. Nobody shares a meal. Is this another talking point to how they've changed? So Senjugahara said, "Yeah, I did that for a while, but now I'm a bit different. I've changed." Senjugahara says, "Well, Araragi-kun didn't really like this meal when I cooked it last time, so what do you think?" And then she's like, "Yeah, it's pretty good. In other words, our tastes are pretty similar." And then we get intense. Our taste in food and in men. And I kind of like this from Senjugahara. She's just kind of, she's not tiptoeing around it. She's just putting it all there on the table. This causes Hanakawa to spit out her soup. And then we get a little scene as well, a little cut, where she's like, "Oh, that was bad manners of me." So she's still thinking about it even in this situation. She's thinking about her perception, what Senjugahara may think of her. Hanakawa thinks again, she's such a challenger. So Senjugahara is very competitive. We know this. So, you know, she's being intense about it is the point. She's not tiptoeing. Hanakawa's like, "Hey, maybe we should talk about what things about Araraga we like." And then it's like, "No, we shouldn't, because he might ego trip if he ever hears about this. So let's talk about the things we hate about him instead." Very funny. So then they talk about their immediate future. So, "Hey, Hanakawa, what are you going to do about your living arrangement for now? It seems that your parents, who don't really care about you at all, are going to take about a week to find some place to rent, right? And then you're going to live back with them until you can rebuild the house, because insurance paid out and that's all sweet. But what are you going to do for this week? Because you can't stay with me, because I wouldn't want you to sleep in such a small house with my father in the same room, basically." Then she calls somebody, gets on the phone to somebody, and says, "Hanakawa-san, I have a good idea. Want to hear it?" And she's like Joker dancing while she's doing it, so it's not a good idea at all. I'm scared. So where are you going to put her? I've got a theory, and it involves Kambaru, and I don't think that would be a good place for old Hanakawa to stay. So I don't know. So clearly you can't stay with Araragi, right? Because that's weird, and also Araragi isn't home. At least you're closely associated with the sisters. Maybe she goes and stays at Aragi's house. That would be interesting as well. Whatever you do, don't go to Kambaru. Kambaru will be a weirdo about it. So yeah, she's not even going to tell Hanakawa where she's going to stay. So she's trolling a little bit. Great. So that's 17, and then I think the next one we see is 19, if I'm not mistaken. Or am I wrong? Okay. So this is 17. So this is after that kind of afternoon where she's just hanging out with Senjugahara and they eat the food. So is this the one that when she comes back, Senjugahara is there and we need to explain the first two? Maybe that's the case. Either way, this is something that I'd always kind of suspected, right? As soon as there's missing chapters and it's nighttime and we know that Black Hanakawa exists, it's pretty easy to speculate why that chapter's missing. It's just a matter of what she was doing while being Black Hanakawa. So we just got a flash of 8 and 13. And yeah, obviously the fire has caused Hanakawa in real life to be quite stressed and shocked. Hence, Black Hanakawa comes back out. It flashes, "I'm making an appearance." Black Hanakawa's third appearance, meow. Great. Great little fourth wall joke. "I've never per a second hated her." This is kind of Black Hanakawa talking about the master. Not per a second. You guys are closer than you think, right? Again, that's what we're talking through a lot of this, right? Is it Hanakawa? Is it Black Hanakawa? Who's in control? Who's not? Are they the same thing? Maybe. So we get a little flash there of 18 as well. So now this is 18. Actually, there's a handy little feature that I just saw as well down here on my little VLC, which tells me what chapter we're in. So this is chapter 18 before we go to 19 a bit later, 20, 21, ED next. Cool. So, chapter 18. Now, this conversation, unless I'm wrong, implies that these two, this is the first time they're meeting? Yeah, at least that's what the tiger is talking about, right? Because he wouldn't be asking these questions if they hadn't met before. So, what was the meddlesome cat, Black Hanakawa, doing during the previous two nights? Guess we don't know. Can't argue with that. metal cats that maybe were rather just odd stories than oddities. So they're not even strong enough to be oddities. And yeah, that's the question from the tiger. Why are you so strong? Well, I'm not quite a metal cat, I'm Black Hanakawa. It's very different. As the same type of aberration, you must know what it means to bar my path. So tiger and cat are associated, which I guess makes sense. And the whole thing is that Hanakawa saw the tiger, and then the tiger took action based on Hanakawa's self kind of conscience. Does that make any sense? Like the tiger saw Hanakawa, saw that she was telling white lies, and then went off to burn down her house, which in essence has brought her to a happier household, just in a weird roundabout way. Again, it's about getting rid of the things that are stressing you out. That house is stressing her out. I'm going to get rid of it. But again, that in turn causes more stress. Maybe that's what we're getting at. So Black Hanakawa clearly doesn't care about what the tiger does or where he goes, but if you bring harm to my master again, mental harm or physical harm, I will kill you. Black Hanakawa further explains the situation like, hey, we might be like the same person, and then the tiger's just like, don't care. He's kind of a Chad in that way. You can't hold back the traits of aberrations. The problem lies in those that can see them. So if you see them, you're in trouble. And then, yeah, I think the implication here is that we're jumping away, far away, because something's going to happen. But no matter what, no matter how far away we get, the tiger's still going to be there because you've seen him. Maybe that's how it works. I don't know. Either way, the scene is just beautiful. It's kind of gorgeous. The colors are great. This whole episode's been directed fantastically. A lot of it is the wide of the Senjukahara house, of course, but I think they, do enough within it to make it still visually interesting, if that makes any sense. Then 19, Cat returns home. Senjukahara is awake, has noticed Hanakawa isn't there, suspects some stuff, and this is very funny. Can you wipe your feet before coming in? Like, not concerned at all, already knows what's going on. Great. And here it is. I'm a light sleeper since I'm high strung. Didn't I tell you that? It's like, but you didn't tell me, the cat, but you're still Hanakawa-san, right? Then they go to shake hands, and, then they explain the whole energy drain thing, but, Senjukahara still persists. So I think what they're trying to say here is that despite it being painful and despite it draining Senjukahara's energy, right, what Hanakawa is doing, she still wants it to happen. She still wants to be on good terms. Can this be related to actual discussions with Hanakawa as well? Maybe? Like what Hanakawa is doing, or what she's doing for Hanakawa by providing her a space to live for now, is draining, but she still wants to do it. And yeah, we get a pretty cool visual here of just, merely the energy drain effect, pretty small, and the two meeting eye to eye, in a way, right? And then we're up to 20. Oh, and then that's why we say we skipped 3 whole chapters now, because Hanakawa is back. So 17, 18, and 19 were all as the cat, and now we're back. Okay, makes sense. Senjukahara goes off for her morning jog. It's implied that she's been awake basically all night, just watching Hanakawa. Senjukahara invites Hanakawa for the jog. She refuses. Instead, she's going to cook breakfast. Looks like this is the reason why I say that she's been awake most of the night, because she's very tired. Oh, she also may be tired because of the energy drain. This makes sense as well. Okay. So yeah, what we got? We've got eggs on bacon. We've got a little salad and some bread. And we get into a very interesting conversation. I probably won't pause a lot through it. I think they do some interesting stuff directorially with the way they shoot the food and the way they keep flashing back to Senjukahara, and she looks a little more deranged each time. I think that's interesting. I also like the part where Hanakawa is kind of judging the different condiments with the different signs. I think that's pretty cool too. And they're kind of on a game show. Great visual idea to express the scene. And what is the scene? Hanakawa doesn't have condiments on food. She doesn't spice food. She merely just eats it. It's robotic. It's to get the energy into the body, right? She doesn't care how it tastes. She just wants something, right? She wants sustenance. And again, we talked early in the episode about the relation between their tastes in food and their tastes in men. So that begs the question as we lead into the end of the episode, does Hanakawa actually like Araragi? Or is she merely just supplicating him because he's some form of sustenance, right? She's not her favorite form of sustenance, but he's, something. something to get the job done, if that makes any sense. It's an interesting conversation. I'm not sure it entirely holds up. I'm pretty sure there's a little bit more history there between the two that may lead to each other liking each other. Again, Kizumonogatari exists. But it's true that we don't see Hanakawa associating with any other guys at all. Maybe she should play the field a little bit. See if Araragi's all that he cracked up to be. I digress. I don't really know if that's where we're going, but it's very... At first I was on Hanakawa's side. I'm like, I don't really like salad dressing all the time. Sometimes you just want a fresh salad. But it's not about the fresh kind of taste of the ingredients for Hanakawa either. It's just about sustenance. It's an unbelievable situation, according to Senjugahara. So you don't like anything on anything, is basically what she's saying. Yeah, I didn't even notice in the background. We're doing this similar thing to we did with the pencils, with different condiments. Interesting. Okay, so the pencils from way back when. I can't even remember when that was. I think it was Nisei. I think Senjugahara noticing this is also important. This is something Araragi would never notice about Hanakawa. He would never see her in this light. You know, again, all about perception. Yeah, all the different costumes. They get their jokes off for sure. It's almost like an Iron Chef-esque set. Yeah, all these different costumes. Look at her go. Hell yeah. But isn't food good even without flavor, Hanakawa says? No, it's not. Sometimes you want to, it's about self-sacrifice again, right? It's about not having real distinctive personality. I'm just trying to fit in with whatever. I don't have preferences. I'm happy with whatever. But at a very base level, having preferences is human, right? Having opinions. That's why I'm doing this channel kind of as well. I have opinions, I have preferences. It'd be like if I watched everything and went, oh yeah, that's fine, that's good. That filled a hole in my entertainment schedule. So no, that's not how being a human works. I don't know how better to explain it, but you know what I mean? It is frighteningly strange that she doesn't have any opinion on any type of food. She's like the polar opposite of a picky eater. Not that you have no preferences either. And yeah, she conflates this with the taste of home. So, and this little wistful look, is she thinking of her mother maybe? Okay. So, Hanakawa has no taste of home. So your formative years when you're very young, you start to establish your tastes, right? What you like, what you don't like. And you may expand that later, but, if you don't like, say, something I don't like, olives, I don't really like olives. I had olives when I was very young, didn't like them, still don't like them now, You find out what you like and what you don't like when you're very young. And Hanakawa didn't have that similar homely experience. Yeah, and Senjugahara feels kind of sad for that, It's a very interesting face, this one, very interesting. And then Senjugahara conflates it with a big heart as well. You must have a big heart loving everybody, right? Being all things to everybody. Because you don't have preferences in people, specifically men, the same way you don't have preferences in food. To have something you detest is about as important as having something you love. So, again, implication being that you don't actually love Araragi, you just think you do. And then a bunch of thoughts go through Hanakawa's mind, right? Just rapid fire, like, when did the subject change? Did the subject get much wider? No, that's not it. I love this face on Hanakawa the entire time. And yeah, Senjugahara gets intense here, looks her in the eye even deeper. Were you really in love with Araragi-kun? Can you tell me once more that you're in love with Araragi-kun? And this intense look. So again, we're talking to a formulation of even personality to a base level, right? If you're happy with anything, if you don't have intense likes and dislikes, if you don't have a keen eye for preference, if you're happy with whatever, then do you really love Araragi? Or is he merely just something there? Very interesting question. I love it. So, is Hanakawa going to need to change to maybe attest to these feelings, or maybe eventually disagree? Maybe eventually move away from Araragi, right? Once she figures some stuff out. And yeah, it kind of brings close to the episode there, right? Straight into the ED. Very interesting episode upon analysis and reflection. I think that's very fun. Yeah, so on to episode 3, I guess, right now. I really don't know if we're going to continue straight from where we were. We still have those missing chapters that we have to think about, those being 8 and 13. It kind of went from being wrong to being, I think, correct now, so hopefully I don't get too many comments correcting me. But It comes with the territory, and I don't know what we're going to do in 3, so we're going to hop right into Neko Shiro 3 right now.
Radio got episode 3 of Nekomonogatari Shiro up here ready to go. I've just had a little break, had a stretch, got some water, had some lunch, so we're all good to go for the next episode. Let me pop that up on screen. 26 minutes and 40 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly if you have your own copy. If not, picture in picture. And yeah, let's jump right in. Radio? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Sakata. Okay, straight where we left off. Okay. Okay. You're similar but different. This again. Oh no. What is Oshinbo? Okay, so she's trying to be subtle and then wasn't? Okay. Yep. Oh, okay. I see. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Huh. Huh. Okay. Oh god. I'm gonna be talking about this for ages. Too pure a white. You're not supposed to accept everything. A failure in the wild. God, it's so interesting. There's so many ways you could take that. Tiger wild? Oh god, every time. And then I was flipping through Senjukahara's textbook, I think it said, but I skipped a lot of it. So Senjukahara and Hanakawa, or not Senjukahara, but so Araragi and Hanakawa both do the right thing, but one is intrinsically aware of how this will be seen and the consequences of it, and the other one is merely just doing it like a command. And I think the second one is Hanakawa. The chocolate stuff is starting to make a bit more sense now too, where we had that conversation about taste. But there's just a million different ways you could take it, and I'm really keen to see other people's takes on what I've seen so far. You know? This is seemingly the arc with tangible development for Hanakawa, at least the challenging of what she's about, which is nice. It's really refreshing. 23. Okay, so we're still not skipping stuff. Oh, it's Kambaru. With the hair, too. With the twin towels. And she just did like a flip. Okay, alright, listen. Oh, the queen, she's back. What should you do? Okay, what is this about? She's polite but inconsiderate. Okay. What is happening with Araragi? 9 p.m. tonight. It actually is, now that I think about it. Oh, yeah, great point. He probably doesn't have the time. This piece is beautiful. It played last episode too. Yes, that must be it. That's exactly it. You got it. I think it's more serious, yes. I love Kombaru. She's the best. Reading a book. Okay, thanks. Bye bye. Yeah, but that's also bad. I want to read that text too. It's very quick. Hmm. Hmm. Huh. It was 23 last time. Okay. I'm just watching for these skips, right? Hello, father. We love the dad. The dad's based. Oh, and the perception stuff. He shot so scary when it's Araragi. And now he's just cooking, like, food. First disemboweled. Great. Yeah, good point. Potentially. I think it'd be very interesting if she did go, but I don't think she will. Hmm. Interesting. It's not about getting in the way. Huh. I'd only get in the way. Well, ha ha ha. I was about to say there's other examples as well. I see. So you're staying with the sisters. Oh, Tsukihi looks nice. Hello, Fire Sisters. Senjakara is such a weirdo. It really is a coincidence. Okay, so this is what she did during the day. Gahara joke. Great. She's so obvious. I love it. She's simultaneously like stupid and like really smart. Yeah, of course. Well, where's she staying? Senjakara is so good. She's like manipulating her. I see. Okay. Stop. She's gonna get it. Nope. Yep. You gotta like crazy. I know there's no justice in this world. The fox jumped on its own. Great. Yeah, so this must be awkward, right? We're contrasting Hanakawa's house with a bunch of other houses, aren't we? The hair is interesting on Tsukuhi for sure. Yeah, that won't be weird at all. Hello, Fire Sisters. What are they doing? That's weird you talking about that, you little bird freak. Yeah, and we've never seen them, and I probably doubt we will at this point. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Didn't they say Aragi had his brush-ins with the law? They were Aragi-kun's parents. Okay, I see. Okay, I see what they might be doing. Suhiki's like Tsukihi, excuse me. Her like crazy hair. Yeah. So somebody has to do it for you. Desperation time. In the wild, I'm a failure. And this tiger again, right? That's nice, at least. Okay. Real. They have to embellish themselves. Yeah, that won't be weird at all. Wow, I did it. I want to drink this. Excuse me if this sounds weird. I generally don't like to eat or drink on camera, but you know, it's here and I'm thirsty. This would be a weird feeling though. Would have made me nervous too. What should I do about this? What do you mean? Well, it's pretty based on what Symphogear was saying before now. Yes, that short vampire. Oh, okay, so she isn't with. Interesting. She isn't with Araragi right now. That's what I thought. Is that a roulette board? Or wheel? Has been severed. What has happened? What has happened? I don't know. Okay. Lineage's consciousness. Okay, thanks. Yeah. The colors on all these Hanakawa thoughts are interesting too. Okay. How so? God, now I'm going to need to talk about Terminator. Okay. Okay. The two aberrations talking to each other, right? The two sides of the two characters. Okay. That's not enough. That's a lot. Why not just sleep during that time? Who's Shizuka-chan? I would have thought the same thing, yes. But you can't sleep in the bath, that's dangerous. Yeah, at least that's been the implication. You must hurry. What's the Torah doing? There's at least 50 tigers. Motionless would be better. Yeah. The perspective here is interesting too. A tiger only you can see. Hmm. You don't want to ask for help either? Oh yeah, the good old energy drain too. Oh. Oh no. What happened? It burned down. Or burned out. Yeah, a bit of both. Okay. I feel like I've seen a burning cram school somewhere before. Interesting. Do we have anything left at the end? Not really. Probably just the next time on. That episode felt short for being slightly longer than the other one. Or maybe I'm just had something to eat, so I feel a bit more comfortable. I don't know. I don't really know what to make of that episode. The start is very intriguing, and I'm probably going to spend most of my time talking about that. I don't really know what to make of any of this. I'm very confused. But I don't know. It feels like I'm purposefully confused, as opposed to Neko Kuro, where I was just confused because I didn't get it. Where here it's like we're unraveling this Araragi mystery at the same time we're trying to find out stuff about Hanakawa. So my mind's going in like a million different directions. If we could imply some things about Doctor Strangelove and what's going on in the head as well, maybe it isn't all that great for Hanakawa either. Yeah, look at that boardroom. All the pies. Great. And no next time on. Rightio, let's jump into a little bit of analysis on episode 3 of Nekomonogatari Shiro. Yeah, I think it's probably best for me to just dive right into the first scene because it's got most of the stuff I want to talk about. So we're bringing up this idea of real and fake again, which is interesting. We're bringing up ideas about Araragi and Hanakawa's differences, and that it's actually a huge difference. Hanakawa is the real thing. Interesting. Anyway, we're going to dive in. There's a visual there of a cicada shell as well. That's kind of interesting. You could take that in a lot of different directions with Hanakawa, maybe, especially with the discussion of real versus fake. So we start the scene. I've been thinking for a while now about how you and Araragi differ, Hanakawa-san. Both of you sacrifice yourself for others with a lot of zeal, but you have almost nothing in common. In simpler terms, and I don't think it's simpler at all, it feels like Araragi-kun is a fake and you're the real thing. But as we discussed in Monogatari, is a fake perhaps even better than the real thing? So you're the real thing because you do the right thing and you don't feel any badness about it at all. You don't feel like you are losing anything by doing it. You are naturally good. You are the real thing. And cool, that's one school of thought. Maybe that is better. But we're subscribing to the second, and I think a lot of you in the audience do as well, that the fake is better. Because you're trying to be good and you don't want to be good and you're worried about the consequences of being good, because you grumble while you do it, that's what makes you better. That's what makes you more interesting. And that's where potentially Hanakawa needs to change. But again, I don't know how the tiger impacts any of this or what they're talking about there. So this I somewhat get, I think. But again, we're going to watch through it again to see if I change my interpretation. I like this as a little piece of comedy to break it up. It feels like a cooking manga where I can figure out people's qualities by eating their cooking. And then she just explicitly names the reference. So normally when you're referencing something, you would be like talking about it in these terms, general terms, without an actual title, and then she just drops the title anyway, and it's quite humorous. There's a difference in awareness of danger between you and Araragi-kun. And she uses a very specific example of the cat killed on the street, something Hanakawa can relate to greatly. And what we're talking about in Nekomonogatari Kuro is that she did this and didn't feel any sympathy for the cat. But then Araragi flipped this and said it was also a good thing because she looks at everybody objectively. You know? She doesn't judge anybody before doing anything. But the true most best solution would be judging somebody, being sympathetic, but also putting yourself out in the same way. You know what I mean? It'd be hating somebody, thinking somebody sucks, and then they're in mortal peril. And instead of simply doing it because it's the right thing to do, you do it despite you not wanting to do it. I don't know if this is making any sense at all, but I kind of see it, I think. And we're also doing, Symphogear being a weirdo, stacking up various things. She likes doing that. Why do so many people ignore the cat and pass by as if nothing has happened? Because it's dangerous to give it a burial. And what she's talking about here is then you get seen as somebody that will, do anything for anybody, and then people can exploit it. And that's the danger there. You don't see the danger, Hanakawa, right? You just do it despite everything else, right? Where Araragi would potentially look at it a little bit more like Symphogear in this situation. So then, okay, Araragi-kun probably knows pretending to be a bad person is probably safer. Now, can we talk about this with what Hanakawa was talking about before when Araragi was, in high school? So, potentially he was like Hanakawa in the past, where he would do anything for anybody and be the Fire Sisters and do all this kind of other stuff, work for justice. And then he saw this other side. He saw himself being exploited, maybe, and then moved his tact. Now I'm going to be outwardly prickly and then do these good things, be my natural self a little bit more. And then me still doing these good deeds behind, other people's backs is still, it's still doing good deeds, but I don't get all the bullshit that comes with it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking absolute porridge right now, but I feel like there's something here, especially with how Araragi has been in the past. You're too pure white. You're not supposed to accept everything. And then there's Cat, of course, because if you do something like that, then it's only repressed, right? It may come out in some other form. Even though you know you'll be exploited, you still do good things anyway. Yet you're an object of Araragi's admiration because he couldn't do something like this, maybe. He needs to be a fake. But you can be real. You're like an unattainable object in the distance for him. And then Symphogear is like, you're not a saint, you're not a hero, you're not a Maradona, you're just thick-headed when it comes to shadows. In that case, you'll be a failure in the wild. So once you're out of your little bubble, once you're out of your little kind of protection, when it gets down to a deep human level, so this could be talking to a number of things, right? So say society collapses and we go back to kind of caveman times, you wouldn't survive back then because you'd be exploited and eaten and probably worse, right? But also the wild could be talking about her adult life. This cannot continue, basically. You cannot be this way all of your life into where you have no other supporting network because it's just not sustainable. And on your deathbed, maybe you'll be like, was it all worth it? What did I gain from being this way? It's a very deep conversation. And I think it's a very important line, especially with how we're talking about cats versus tigers versus anything else. So yeah, you can take this in a million different directions. So then we get Hanakawa kind of sitting in the classroom. And then she gets to thinking. But then I was sitting in class. My attention was drawn to the scribbles in Symphogear's textbook. I must admit that I felt like words were just popping up meaninglessly in my head. Excuse me. So we get these little kind of drawings in her textbook, which I'm not really sure I understand, but sure. I don't really know what we're getting at with that, but anyway, I digress. Very interesting opening scene. So then we pop out of the classroom, Hanakawa walks away, and Kambaru Saruga. And considering that we were in the corridor, she was really loud. This seems like Kambaru, yes. And yeah, she does like a sick flip. An accelerator, I don't know what that means, but sure. And yeah, Kambaru wants to see Symphogear, but she's staying home from school with the whole influenza lie, of course. And this is why she was looking for Symphogear, and this is why she confides in Hanakawa as well, because it's kind of relevant to her as well. Araragi has texted Kambaru, tonight at 9, second floor, come to the classroom alone, there's something I have to ask you. And we kind of hypothesize later that it's about the whole monkey's paw situation. But yes, very intriguing. We've got this side mystery going on with Araragi that we're going to have to look at a later date. And of course, he's talking about the cram school ruins when he talks about this location that they're going to meet. Which leads into our conversation at the end of the episode. Why is the cram school burned down? What happened to burn down the cram school? Who was around that's going to burn down the cram school? Is it in Kizu that I saw fire on the cram school? That's a visual that's striking in my mind for some reason. I have no idea why. Like a burning cram school. I don't know. I really can't think of why I'm thinking that. Anyway, I digress. And yes, Hanakawa correctly infers that it's serious based on his wording and that he isn't answering his phone because he probably doesn't have time to. He's doing something else for somebody else. I found the last little bit of this scene interesting as well. I heard your house caught fire, so I thought you'd be down. But I'm relieved to see nothing of the sort. But she is down. She's just doing a really good job of hiding it. And then Hanakawa's thinking, I can't believe she acts like this even though she knows. No. Why did she say I don't seem to be feeling down? Question mark. I don't really get that at all. So she's feeling down, but she's not outwardly, expressing it. And then Kambaru's a bit stupid? Is that what we're getting at? I don't know. Anyway, Hanako was a little bit jealous that Araragi didn't reach out to him either, and as Senjogahara is later as well, and then they theorize it must be about the hand, because why else would they not go for the two other girls? So Hanakawa goes back to Senjogahara's house, and then hey, it's Senjo Papa. I don't know what we're calling him, but it's the dad. He's still cool. Again, we're talking to this perception thing. Araragi was very scared of him. He seemed very intimidating in the car until he took a step back and he wasn't. But Hanakawa doesn't feel threatened by him, so she feels nothing of the sort. And he simply just goes and starts cooking them food. Even puts on a cute little apron. Yeah, see he's just nice. And again, I was trapped like Araragi, right? I thought this guy was going to be mean, based on everything, based on tropes as well, story tropes. But no, he's very cool. He's a cool guy. So they're eating pocky and they're making like weird shapes with it because it's a Senjogahara scene, so she's always doing something weird with her food or pencils or anything else. It's an interesting question here from Senjogahara as well. So, are you going to go or what? You've got the information, you've now shared it with me. Should we go? In retrospect, it probably wasn't a good idea to go considering it burned down within 3 hours because it's basically like, hey, 9 o'clock, we're going to get there. Something happens, and then after midnight, we're going to go and check it out with Black Hanakawa. So something happened very quickly there, especially for it to not be like still burning. You know what I mean? It's burned out. So they probably want to go right, but they think that they'll just be in the way, which I don't think is correct. But also they think that hey, Araragi's probably got this under control. He would ask us for help if he needed us, right? The same way he asked Kambaro. Here Senjogahara gets a little bit cheeky. I thought we were talking about somebody like Hachikuji, because she still definitely has a aberration at least associated with her, right? The whole thing is that she wasn't the aberration, it was Araragi, right? Like the whole concept of not wanting to go home is what caused it. So it wasn't an aberration taking kind of over Hachikuji, it was Hachikuji as an aberration taking over Araragi. Yeah. Either way, we're talking about none of those. We're obviously talking about Hanakawa. And of course, Hanakawa in kind of daytime has no concept of this, and it's just a nice little reference. And of course, yeah, the little meow. Cool, then we get Senjogahara unleashing her trump card, that being Araragi Karen-chan and Araragi Tsukihi-chan, the Fire Sisters. So this was one of the kind of places we could go with Hanakawa needing somewhere to stay, and it's probably the most obvious in retrospect. Of course, she isn't going to stay with Kambaro. That'd be a little bit weird. Of course, whilst Araragi isn't there, we're going to get some reflective time while she's in Araragi's house. So yeah, the sisters are still involved. That's all very cool. But how did Senjogahara pull this off? Let's have a little look. Now this is just master manipulator Senjogahara. She knows what Karen is about, and she's going to use every opportunity to get what she wants. And that is for Karen to offer Hanakawa some residence, right? Make her feel as bad as possible without being too obvious about it. She's like, I just remembered this out of the blue, like changing the conversation completely. Did you know that Hanakawa-san's house burned down? Sorry, that's a silly question. Of course you know, right? And she's like, yeah, of course, of course. Again, outwardly trying to be all things to everybody. Good old Karen. We love Karen. It's like, no, I knew she didn't have a place to sleep. I was just actually about to bring that up. And then she uses Karen's kind of insecurities about being worse than her brother. No, it'd be silly for me to rely on a junior high student. I should have relied on Araragi instead. You can't do anything without your dear older brother, so I only troubled you by mentioning this. Again, goading her on. And then that word justice. I guess there is no justice in this world. And then it's like, the fox jumped on its own. And there it is. There is a place. There is a place and there is justice, damn it. Great. Nice little manipulative Senjogahara moment. And now we're at the Araragi residence. Again, we're contrasting this with Hanakawa's house. Again, very well lit, very bright. Again, we've got the whole studio light thing going on. There's some weird ladders in the background. They've still got the weird opulent bathroom that may not be as opulent as it seems. And yeah, they're going to sit and have a chat. Did she use a wrong word here? And then Hanako is correcting her in her mind. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, risque and reserved are not the same thing. They may be actually opposites. Are they trying hard to impress Hanako? That's kind of cute. So Hanako accepts the favor. Again, she can't ask for help on her own. She needs somebody to offer it to her. And yes, she'll be spending time in Araragi's room. And then they all hold hands together for a bit, which is a little bit strange, but sure. I guess she's hanging out with what are they, 14 and 12, I think. I forget their ages. So it is natural for them to just be playing games and stuff. And this is where Hanakawa brings up the concept of parents again. Now, this is very interesting because it's somewhat implied later that they might not be talking about parents at all. It may just be the two sisters, and there may be no parents. And then when they say that the parents were police officers, it may be about being the fire sisters. Again, it's up to interpretation. I don't know if we'll ever see the parents again. It's, what are we, a little less than halfway through the show? Maybe a little bit more? Depends. We're about halfway, I believe. And we haven't seen the parents. I don't think we'll see them again. But again, could be completely wrong. Yeah, it's this whole thing we're related by blood, so our personalities are similar. Well, you're not related by blood, but we've been through that one. Yeah, as usual, they gave the feelings that they were Araragi-kun's parents. Okay. Senjugahara planted this idea in Karen's head. But still, was this the good idea Senjugahara mentioned? This was her trump card. So this is what she was talking about when she called previous or was on the phone. I don't know who she called. Maybe she called Tsukihi. It's unclear. Either way, I like kind of Tsukihi's impossibly long hair here. It's nice to see the two sisters just kind of vibing, hanging out, having fun. I couldn't help but feel guilty exploiting the kind of justice of the Justice Sisters to get a place to stay, but at least Senjugahara put the villain role on her own shoulders for me. So, again, people are being nice to her. She's taking the help, but she doesn't like it. She still feels a little bit guilty. And I'm still feeling guilty. It was the same when Senjugahara let me stay at her place. This is probably completely different reasoning from Oshino-san's people just help themselves. I don't know what this is a reference to, but sure. I thought about Senjugahara's words that morning. I'm in the wild. I'm a failure. I'm desperate for help. I'm in desperation mode. And then we get this kind of inverted tiger as well. So yeah, it could be she is in the wild right now and failing because she's relying on other people. She's a burden to others and she doesn't want to be. Maybe. Again, I'm kind of bullshitting. I don't really know where we're going yet, and that's interesting as well. Again, I want to highlight the difference between this and Kuro, right? Kuro, I was confused, and I don't think I was meant to be confused. And in here, I'm confused, and I think I'm meant to be confused. It's good, right? I guess we'll save kind of actual formative opinions for the very end of the arc, but this one's hidden. It's really good. And yeah, it's shrouded in mystery is the way I would describe it for sure. We don't know what's going on with Araragi. We don't really know what's going on with the tiger. We just don't know. And it's really rewarding for me to talk about. So yeah, really liking this arc. Karen starts talking about people at school and they put on airs. They put on these masks, right? They try to use all these really complicated words. Probably boys trying to impress her, right? And Karen doesn't care about that. She cares more when Hanakawa kind of takes her level down to Karen's. She's appreciative of it. These first class people are surprisingly ordinary when you talk to them. They have no auras. But maybe because they're real, they don't have to embellish themselves. So Hanakawa doesn't try hard to put on airs and talk kind of up above her level to impress people. Because she's real, she's perfectly confident that she's doing the right thing at any time. She's not pretending. She's not a fake. She is the ideal. But again, she's embarrassed. Are they just too nice to her? Again, it's all about perception. I'm just guessing at these scenes. I could be completely wrong. I'm very interested to read the comments this week. And I think we can all kind of relate to this. Imagine, okay, you're going to sleep in your crush's room in their clothes, or at least their sheets. When they're not there, you can't help but feel uncomfortable, right? It's just a little bit strange. And It's no wonder that she couldn't fall asleep until about midnight. But still, Hanako is still kind of happy. She's like, what is this wow I made it feeling? And after midnight, the cat now comes out. So, we can infer that the cat comes out because of stressful situations. So, what is Hanako stressed about tonight? It's probably this whole thing about being in desperation mode and kind of not being suited to the wild, being a failure in the wild. These are the concepts that we need to address. So it's great that I could just be out wild right now and, go on my own. The last two times I've been kind of quelled, and now I'm just left free. There's no Araragi to keep me in check. So both times they've borrowed the power of that short vampire. And then said short vampire appears, and I can't say I expected this at all. Hey, it's Shinobu! Aren't you intrinsically linked to Araragi, like you're inside his thoughts? I thought that's where we were at. But she says the connection has been severed. So what the hell is going on there? Just more and more intrigue about what's going on with Araragi. I have no idea, no clue where we're going or what we're doing with it. It's really quite cool. And we get this short visual here of kind of Shinobu on the roulette wheel. Like the ball in a roulette wheel. Did they roll poorly? Did a bad outcome happen? Araragi's standing over, kind of in shadow. What happened? What happened there? But instead I find the cat. It feels like I avenged someone who died in Edo way over in Nagasaki. Are these two different places in Japan? I know Nagasaki is. I don't know what this is a reference to. I thought Edo was a period, but I could have been wrong. Shinobu seems to be really happy now that Hanakawa, or the Black Cat, has given her this information, that Kambaru is meeting with him. So there must be some kind of connection there, something obvious to Shinobu now that was needed with Kamaru's help. Again, it's very weird the way we're telling the story, this kind of dual structure where we're then going to go back and see the other side. At the same point in time, we're still skipping ahead with the cat, right? They're doing some fun kind of non-chronological stuff, I think. And something about a lineage's consciousness. I don't know. So Shinobu now has a mission based on this information. She has a place to go and a thing to do. And then she says the difference between kind of the Black Cat or the Meddlesome Cat before and the Meddlesome Cat now is the difference between Terminator and Terminator 2. Now, what in God's name did we mean here? Terminator 1 is more of a horror movie. It's more, small in scale. It's about chasing, if you don't know about Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's the Terminator who comes kind of back from the future to follow kind of Kyle Reese, I think his name is, because Kyle Reese has a mission in current time that he needs to accomplish, and this mission is very important for the revolution. We later find out that it's to make sure that John Connor is born, and because he's the one that leads the revolution and ends Skynet, who the Terminator is a part of. Cool. So we've established that. And then that movie plays out and it's whatever, right? We skip ahead to Terminator 2, where John Connor is a young lad and is followed by a similar Terminator, but he is now friendly. And it's a lot more actiony, if that makes any sense. There's car chases. There's a big, shootout climax at the end. There's, Terminators fighting each other. It's bigger in scale, but somewhat less intimate as a result. I really don't know what we're getting at here. It's a very weird Western reference in this too. In any case, my sucking of your blood is a very makeshift therapy. It's not going to help in the long term. It's only a, standby solution. We've been through this. So then they get to talking about Napoleon because Shinobu's just like bored and wants to tell a story. And they say he only slept 3 hours each night. But he also bathed a lot. He bathed like 6 hours. So the only conclusion could be that he slept while he bathed, which you shouldn't do. It's quite dangerous. And what is a Shizuka-chan? Let me see. Shizuka-chan is from Doraemon. Okay. She is the tritagonist of the Doraemon franchise and the only main female character. Okay. I don't really get the reference to what else is going on, but sure. Like the bathing. So I want to say that even if two things seem different, they may be linked in the end. So it's talking to some greater revelation in the story, maybe, that I'm not cognizant of. Okay. Oh, and then they go on to talk about it like this. Okay. You may be Black Hanakawa, a severed portion of Hanakawa Tsubasa's persona, but I sense that there isn't a definitive difference between you two. So you may be bathing and sleeping at the same time. I see. Okay, alright. Clever. Bathing in the moonlight, maybe, and sleeping at the same time. Quite clever. Quite clever Monogatari for sure. Then Shinobu talks of the similarities between aberrations and humans. Now that you mention it, sometimes I feel light as a feather. Sometimes these things weigh me down. Again, two sides, right? So then, kind of Hanakawa / Black Hanakawa asks Shinobu about the tiger. You heard about this tiger? It's like, yeah, I've seen like 50 tigers in this city. You're going to need to be more specific. It's a massive tiger. Well, tigers usually are. A smaller one would be better. And it's unimaginably quick. And tigers are usually agile. Motionless would be better. And it talks, and that causes pause from Shinobu. An aberration that takes on the form of an animal, yet speaks. This confuses Shinobu. Like, that's rare, and I would know about it, huh? There's no way I wouldn't know if there was such an unknown aberration walking around. In that way, it might be your focal point. In other words, an aberration only you can see. No one else can see this tiger, right? It's only yours. It's your burden. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. I'm really not. But it seems clearly very important, and something we need to keep in the head for later. Shinobu says she's sorry she couldn't help, but I think she's helped plenty. Either way, now we're going to repay the favor to Shinobu. Black Hanakawa offers a lift to the ruins, which Shinobu does take, after some consideration. Again, are we talking about asking for help versus offering help? Maybe. However, we could never arrive. All that was there was ashes, the place Araragi Koyomi and Oshino Shinobu used as a hideout, and then going through various things that were done in this building. It's quite sad, actually, now that we've lost such an integral location to the show. And it begs the question, what the hell happened here? I'm really interested to see what happened. They've set this up great. I really want to see where this ends. It seems like the fire extinguisher tank was used as well, so again, when was this destruction? It must have been tonight, right? What happened? What happened to burn out the school like this? And we still have this whole tree still standing, by the way, so that's interesting as well. And yeah, hop into the ED. That's the end of the episode. What the hell happened is my main question now. What the hell happened? As well as, okay, the rest of the episode, really great. Like, these two episodes have been really good. Just a deeper look into what makes Hanakawa tick, how she's different from Araragi. How she may be Araragi's, like, ideal, but the way that she's approaching it lends itself to different problems, right? Like, it's unsustainable. And again, we have Hanakawa kind of experiencing these different houses, seeing how they operate, and in contrast to her own. Again, Hanakawa's kind of terrifying. Still, I still agree with that kind of hypothesis from last episode. But I'm starting to understand why. And it's quite tragic, I believe. Other than that, we got some fun Zenjugahara stuff. She's a real goober. She really showed off the great aspects of her personality in these two episodes. Got a bit of the sisters. Got some much needed Kambaru, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, a big intriguing mystery happening in the background that I just really want to know the answers to. Very interesting. Either way, thank you very much for watching this week. And I don't really know where we're going next. I'm guessing I'm doing 2 episodes to finish up this arc. Remember, if you're passionate about Hana Monogatari going where it needs to go, we'll vote about that in the Discord. I need to remind myself to actually, post that in Discord as well. But either way, thank you very much for watching. Good to do my shill stuff. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I could do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back. And the Discord, join the Discord, discuss Monogatari, vote in polls, all that kind of jazz. Right here, thank you very much for watching this week, and I'll catch you again next week. Right here, catch you later.